Welcome into the breakdown. It has been an incredibly difficult few days for the Pacifica and the rugby community as well, with the passing of two superstars of the game. But I guess the best way we can honour them is to talk about the legacy they have. All three of you have been able to play with them and against them, Jeff.
Friday, just a sad day. You know, waking up to the news, losing Va'aiga. A teammate of mine on my very early days with the All Blacks in 1993, played against him when he was playing for Auckland, and then to lose Joeli, later that day, just tragic. Two wonderful, beautiful people who you just, every time you saw them, you could always connect to. And JK, of course, Inga for you, just a teammate. When he put that smile on his face, you knew he was loving the game of rugby union.
Yeah, and I think that was I was devastated because I saw him 3 weeks ago in my neighbourhood, and I'd been talking to him, and then I saw him and I said, man, you look so good, he'd lost 35 kilos, and that beautiful smile of his. I think the thing that he taught me the most was he came along, and we were all really serious, Mills, like back in those days, we'd get up on a Friday and we'd be fighting each other at training and trying to get up mentally. And he just did everything with a smile, He had this beautiful, beautiful nature about him. I mean, you didn't want to mark him, but he just had this beautiful nature afterwards. And, he's too young for him to die. And then obviously, hearing about Joey. And I never played with Joey, but I managed him. So, you, Mills?
Yeah, two great men, obviously. Kirsten, and like what you guys have mentioned, sad. Inga, for me, really was someone sort of I kind of looked up to as a youngster, and so inspirational in terms of Pacifica people and guys from the islands. Obviously, I was born in Samoa, but sort of an inspiration in terms of me wanting to become an All Black, because he was this Islander that was playing for the All Blacks, and maybe I can aspire to one day do that. And I was really fortunate that he visited me down in the deep south of Invercargill. On a cold night, and to sort of now remember those sort of moments, and meeting him after I became an All Black, something special with Joey. You obviously got to play with him, and he was a legend, an absolute superstar of the game. And because I was a youngster, he used to always call me the young fella. So, young fella, come on, the young fella, come with me, stick with me. And I learned a lot on the field, but I also learned a lot off the field with Joeli. He'd always give me his $10 note and go, okay, go buy me a drink. And I'd go and buy him a rumbo. He said, you get one and I'll get the other, and I'll pay for it. And, but every time I used to go up, they used to come and say, this one's for Joey and your one's $5. So every time I sort of came back, I ended up a whole heap of cash. So I'll always remember Joey as a great man, and both of them, because as you mentioned, Jeff, beautiful, beautiful men.
Joey, I came back in 2000, and Gordon Hunter, another guy who left too early, you'd be close to Gordy, made me manager. And I got back, and back then the physical test came in, the 5K run. And we didn't know that Joeli was unwell back then, just like we didn't know that Jonah was unwell. And so they're doing the 5K, and after 500 yards, Joey stops. Right, and starts walking. Everyone's starting to get into him, So anyway, he walked, and I went over to him and I held his hand and I said, Joey, if you win the sprint, mate, no one will give a shit. Excuse my language. And he went, you reckon, boss? I said, mate, no one will care, bro. Just go. Well, he was 118 kilos, and he did the 100 in about 10:9. And everyone's going, yeah, Joey, and he came away with that beautiful smile of his as well. And and he played that year with an illness, just so much courage.
That was my theory as well, to be fair. It was that if I was fast enough, I could get away with it. Like my first tour in 1993, like I turned 20 on the tour, and Inga was on that tour, and I'd only played against him that first year for Auckland, and I'd watched him in the All Black jersey, but it was a very, very special tour for me, and I only sort of worked this out later on in the tour. Sort of every 10 days, him and Ronnie Clarke would come and have a chat to me and say, well, we're going out for dinner tonight, we're going to take you out. And I thought, they were just looking after the young fella. And so we'd go out and have a great meal together, and we'd come back to the hotel, and it was all, maybe a little bit quiet and a little bit, I was sort of, where is everybody else? And I found out later on, it was the fact that everyone else was letting their hair down and blowing off a bit of steam. They were taking the 20-year-old out for dinner and just making sure that I was all right. And I had no idea what was going on. I always wondered, and I wondered why the next day at training everyone wasn't quite on top of their game, where they were protecting me. But they were the type of people they were. You know, they understood. For me, it was, you know, I was only 20 in Invercargill, like you say, Mills, and they cared. They cared about people, and that's what Inga was about. And Joeli, you know, there was very few people I was concerned about ever running around me. You know, the one thing I always felt is I had a bit of gas, but you just never knew if Joeli was really trying. And to your point, you know, I always overplayed him on the outside. You can beat me on the inside any day you like, but he was some sort of special player, just a unique talent. And like in some ways, like Jonah, we never, Mills, through the course, probably got to see the best of him long enough.
No,
Mills God's going to have a unbelievable set.
Oh, gee, I tell you what, he is. He is, isn't he? I mean, it's going to be great. But it's interesting, I mean, as a youngster growing up and sort of seeing them, and also in the environment, as soon as both of them, you know, stepped over that white chalk, they were ferocious. But off the field, they're
such gentlemen, right?
Such like you know, softies, and that's what I sort of couldn't get my head around in terms of, I suppose, growing up and seeing. You know, meeting Inga, and also, you know, being able to play with Joeli. Gee, I looked a whole lot better back in those days.
Look at that.
This is you. How old were you here, Mills?
I was 12.
You were 12 years old.
And he came to your home.
Yeah, my teacher at intermediate sort of, you know, they thought you know, Inga was on his book tour and down in Invercargill, and it'd be a good idea to bring him over. And so we were just waking up. And obviously you can see the eyes are a bit glary, but funny enough, I always wanted to dress like that from there on. The old jeans up and the belt. Probably do a little bit now still, but so awesome to see that. And as I said, as a Samoan-born kid growing up and seeing this guy, you know, play for the All Blacks, it made me as a proud Samoan want to do the same.
Incredibly sad and difficult time, but the stories are what makes you smile. Beautiful stories from all three of you, and I think this will make you smile as well.
Still try. Unbelievable skills from the big man.
Yes, there was some unbelievable skill over the weekend as well that I think those two men would have been incredibly proud of. Welcome back into the breakdown. Yes, we've shifted times to Sunday, but the same crew, and now we get first crack to get into the weekend. JK, the Blues, do we talk about 70, 80?
Yeah, just 70.
60?
First 70, unbelievable. What about the last 10? Not worried about it.
How are you coping with that? I mean, surely you sat back, relaxed, thinking to yourself, job done.
No, that was the team.
What's that? Oh, that was the team.
That was the team. I didn't sit back.
You didn't think that?
No, I just thought it was an outstanding game of rugby, and I think late, probably just a little bit of game management and leadership. I think that a lot of the leaders had gone off, and so for me, I just thought it was a fantastic game of rugby. And I couldn't believe it. Late Mills, what's going on? I don't really know how to explain it. I'm blaming those 35-minute halves that we're playing as kids. It's all over at 70.
Good weekend for the Chiefs, though, Mills.
Great weekend.
Clean sheet.
Hey, yeah, no point. Did you get points for that? No points yet, but no loss. But to your point, I mean, how fantastic was that game? I mean, both games really, and it just goes to show how tough this competition is. You know, you've got to go right to the 80th minute. Same with the game, you know, the night before. But loving what I'm seeing at the moment.
Yeah, very well said. Well, we've got our next guest up here on Zoom. They've made it out of the bubble in Queenstown from the Blues. Joining us is Caleb Clarke. Caleb, thank you so much for coming on the breakdown. It's been an incredibly difficult couple of days for the rugby community, for your family as well. How are you all doing?
Hey everyone, thanks for having me on tonight. Firstly, yeah, it's been quite an interesting few days, especially, yeah, like you said, for my family. Had a really late text from my dad the other night, and then followed up by a call saying the passing of Uncle Inga, and so it was quite a tough day to process. But then hearing Joeli passing away as well, I really felt for my dad, as you know, both, as you guys were talking about before, as teammates and like close relatives or close family friends to us. And so yeah, it's been tough, and I'm really feeling for my dad and for others like Uncle Michael and everyone around that era, just having you know, two really great friends passing away. And so yeah, it's been tough, but as we all are in this rugby community, we're all really close and we really stick together during these hard times. So, yeah, it's been good.
Caleb, you're looking really good, mate. Like, difficult seasons for you last year, very difficult mentally, you know, 3 weeks in a hotel room, watching everyone else play in the Olympics. But what were your biggest learnings from a difficult year last year?
Yeah, I'm really grateful for lockdown, and I really learned a lot about myself. I think the lesson I really got out of that was gratitude, being grateful for the things that I had. There was things that happened during lockdown where I really took a step back and had to think about what was important to me. And yeah, I was really grateful for my family, really grateful for the close people that I had around me. And one of those people ended up being Roger as well. A lot of people don't know, but he helped me a lot during lockdown, and not just on field, but like you said, mentally, I wasn't in the right headspace, and he really helped me see things a lot clearer and really helped me get my drive back in a sense. So yeah, I'm really grateful for a lot of things and really looking forward for another season of rugby.
Caleb, I want to talk about the effect that Roger's had on you, sort of on the field stuff. Man, your speed, I mean, I know you wanted to work on your kicking the last time we talked to you, but your speed in the weekend, I was like, how did you do that? Mate, has he been like really influential in terms of that aspect of your game?
A bit. There's a couple of videos of him stepping me, so my footwork has gone up a little bit just to try to mark him. But no, we've been real competitive around our speeds. This is before Rico came back into the team, because at the point me and Roger were the two quicker ones. So yeah, now Reach just blows us out of the water. But especially during lockdown, we'd have races against each other, like in a 40 meter, 60, 80 meters, just all trying to beat each other and just have pretty much bragging rights, which were the behind closed door conversations that we would all have, be like, I beat you. So.
Caleb, look, there's no doubt you guys have had a difficult start to the season in regards to the fact preparing for the first game. For 70 minutes, you were outstanding over the weekend. How's the team responded? What have the conversations been like? How was Roger after the game in terms of dealing with and processing, which was a game you probably should have won?
Yeah, well, a lot of us already know how professional Roger is, and he really, just because I was next to him in the changing room, he really took it hard, and I think sort of that's what comes with his professionalism, is especially when we lose, he takes it on the chin, and so he's taken time to process that, and so have our team. We played like great 70 minutes, as you guys said, but we really let that last 10 minutes slip, and I think we can be proud of the fact that we played awesome in that first part, but if we really want to take it to the next level, we have to be more than just an 80-minute team. We have to be prepared to go 90 or even 100. So, yeah, that's sort of the conversations around now, and definitely how to organise the game part, the last part of the game.
Caleb, we thank you so much for coming on our program, and we're sending all our love to you and your family at this time as well.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much. Caleb Clarke there. So nice to see a friendly smile. He's such a good guy. But we're going to get stuck into the Blues, aren't we? Roger Tuigamala Joeli.
You said it right. Stuck into them. Are we going to get stuck into them?
Oh, well, you might be.
Well, I'm going to.
Shall we start off with JK then?
You want to start off with JK? He's had his chance. Surely he's had his chance. We've talked through it. I do want to underrate, though. How good did he look, Kirsty?
RTS. Wow. Would you want to stand in front of him if he's about to step you?
Wow.
The footwork, right?
The footwork.
Seriously good. I mean, I was sending texts as I was watching this going to myself, for Roger Tuigamala Joeli, he set a new bar and he could be a game changer. We know the impact that Sonny Bill Williams had on New Zealand rugby when he came into the game. When I start seeing this, Mills, JK, stepping, leaving guys flat-footed, offloading, the offloads, finding people in spaces, his tackling. Look, he missed the late tackle. He'll be bitterly disappointed. But for me, Mills, if I was asking for a first-up performance, I could not be more impressed.
Oh, he didn't sort of warm into the game either. So that's what you sort of tend to think, that he's going to come in here and just get a feel for it, and obviously a massive switch. But he was the Blues in the first 50 or 60 odd minutes before they before they lost. I mean, the way he played, and I'm looking forward to seeing how, even running it straight, it's almost like he was playing league again. I mean, his ability and I suppose the way he looked as well, he just looked really, really good, JK. So, man, he's got a lot of a lot more.
You didn't waste any time. You didn't waste any time. this is All Black material. You didn't waste any time. As we're
right
watching
now, would
this,
you put
right?
him in there?
Right, it's not what they're putting in, I think. It's just the fact that was that the first step. Was it enough? Do you go, you know what? As he gets better and develops, this is what we're looking for.
Yeah, look, I think Sonny, who changed the game when he came, took a little bit longer to settle. You know, and the mistakes that Roger made on the weekend were from playing rugby league, like, you know, hit the ground, got up without releasing it. I think that defensive error he'll be disappointed about, but it'll be a great learning for him. I think he just got checked and got caught a little bit short, then accelerated. So, but I think for a first up game, he was outstanding. He's what we need in the midfield in the All Blacks. I mean, we talked about it last year, how, you know, we've normally had a dominant person that would get us over the advantage like a Ma'anonu, but his feet are exceptional. And I think playing him at 12 has been the best decision. I think he'd be wasted at fullback with those feet, Mills. And so if we can get, like, he was against some pretty good footballers the other night, and he's just got the feet to get you over the advantage line, and that is gold.
And free his arms, Mills.
Oh, he's such a threat. I mean, you wouldn't see it on TV, but the reload as well, once he sort of got off his feet, he was so fast in getting back, but it also allowed everyone else to work hard to get back as well. But if they use him as a decoy runner, because he's such a threat with his offload game and his physicality, he now becomes a decoy runner where there's another hole for someone else, and that's where I think the Blues will benefit from that too. Well,
from one game breaker to another, we're very lucky to head to the opposite end of the North Island. We're going to Wellington inside the Hurricanes camp where JORDIE Barrett joins us live. Thank you so much, JORDIE. I know it's your first night at home, but how did you find playing against Roger Tuigamala?
Good day, everyone. I can't see you guys on my screen for whatever reason, so I've just got voices at the moment. But yeah, it was pretty cool playing against Roger. Watched plenty of leagues, so I know what he was capable of, and he put a few holes in us in that first half. So yeah, he had a great game.
We look exactly the same. We haven't changed, mate. We look exactly the same as we did last year. So I mean, you're looking great, and I'd say an incredibly positive start to the season. Last weekend, you were dominant and so involved. You get to the 60th minute mark. Did you know you were coming off in this game? Was that a planned substitution? And how did you feel about the fact you weren't able to continue being part of the performance?
Yeah, I knew I was on minute restrictions this week. I was between the 50 and 60 mark, but and I'm fully aware of that and understand the reasoning. Frustrations for me was I left the field when we still had plenty of work to do. So thankfully our bench come on and lifted and did an unbelievable job in that last 10 minutes. So it's probably one of the weirdest games we've watched.
JORDIE, it's JK. Why didn't you take Artie with you when you went off? Why didn't you get him? Take him with you? That would have been good for us Blues boys. But seriously, mate, you know, you've really cemented that fullback role. And you're playing outstandingly. But what are you personally working on from an improvement point of view for this season?
I guess just trying to play with a lot of control. We've got a game plan that suggests we're throwing a lot at teams and playing with a high tempo. So the challenge for myself and the rest of the game drivers, Jackson, our nines, and young Ruben Love, is just to, I guess, find that balance of playing with the ball and without the ball, and I guess using that control when we need to, because we've got a lot of young talents in our group, and I guess if steered around the right way, we can utilise them.
JORDIE, how do you turn that control on from the first second? Now, you guys are leaving it to the last sort of, last sort of 20-odd minutes to really start, getting your game together, man. I suppose Jason Holland, he's losing his hair, and then the way you guys have been finishing the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. We do have a plan that suggests we want to reap rewards late in the game, but we never planned this late. I guess the plan against the Blues was to try and play as high tempo as possible and ultimately break them and wear them down and try and put some points on them late. So we left ourselves a lot of work in this game, and look, we got the rub of the green, a few lucky breaks in that final 10 minutes, but I guess it's just testament to where our group's at the moment. We've got a lot of young boys and some quality leaders out there, and you saw the way Artie played, and the group's in a good spot. So there's plenty of resilience among the group, and hopefully that win there turns into a habit for us.
Jordie, we saw the impact Bailyn Sullivan had last weekend, and then over this weekend just now. Look, he seems as though he's added and brought something to the environment. Has had Super Rugby experience, but not consistency. What have you seen out of him? What is it you really like about what his game brings?
The very first day I turned up at pre-season, I couldn't believe we'd had him or someone would let him go. He's a slick mover. He'd be one of the quickest in our team. And he's a good kid, turned up, willing to learn, hungry, obviously a new opportunity for him, and I've been very impressed. Yeah, he's a game breaker.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Jordie. JK won't talk about that last 10 minutes, but we can congratulate you. So well done, brilliant performance.
Thanks very much.
Great to have Jordie Barrett on the program there. And we're about to go and take a look at his brother. We're throwing it back to 2012, where the Hurricanes did a very similar thing to the Blues.
Still have it, Eaton. Barrett now. Splits a hole. Barrett gets past Manawa. Now he needs someone to pass to. It's Conrad Smith. Conrad Smith to score. What drama!
Who decided to play that? What relevance does that have?
Well, it's the start of a trend. It's the start of a trend.
Oh, see, that's what I reckon you're starting to do.
Last week,
Blues people, they're doing that on purpose.
Well, last week you
Would
picked
you
on
go
me.
back to the Highlanders?
Last week you picked on me.
When was the last time they lost 2 in a row?
What's that? The last 2 weekends. Yeah, we lost 2 in a row. Thanks very much for bringing that up. We'll get to that eventually.
Well, we should get to that, shouldn't we? Let's talk about the game.
Yes, let's talk about
Dunedin. The game in Dunedin. For one team, they've gone 2-0 to start the season, the Crusaders, but for the Highlanders, tricky start, Jeff.
Yeah, look, challenging start. They were better this weekend. I thought they played better against this Crusaders team, but the Crusaders did what they have always done. They finished games really strongly. The Highlanders got out to the fast start, Mills, and I think that's where they got hurt. The awareness of Sevu Reece to take a quick tap 5 metres from the line, it turned the momentum of the game. The Highlanders needed to keep on the roll. They lost that, and then all of a sudden this Crusaders team went to work. Look, when you only scored 6 points in the second half, you don't give yourself an opportunity to win, and the Crusaders just do what the Crusaders do. But this try was a big difference maker, but I think the Highlanders actually still took a step up, but it wasn't good enough against a team that's only getting better.
Yeah, for the first time, they looked really flustered in that sort of opening few minutes to the Crusaders, and the Highlanders really needed to ride that more. They needed to collect more points, but they got themselves back in the game. There's a few lead changes in there, but I think that the biggest turning point for me was when George Bowell came on. And there was a scrum, the defensive scrum for the Crusaders. It was a Highlanders feed. They won that and they piggybacked that, and then ended up sort of going down the other end. They scored, and the difference between the Crusaders and sort of other teams is they just keep piling points when they've won that moment. And it's not they score a try, then they back it up with another try, and before you know it, the game's gone. And that's the difference. And they've got quality players.
They definitely don't stop playing, do they?
Here's a question, though, for me, and we said this last year. Super Rugby Aotearoa was a sprint. Is this a sprint or a marathon? Are the Highlanders under the pump, or have they got time to, 2 in a row?
Well, we haven't played any of the Trans-Tasman teams, which we thrashed last year, across the Tasman. So, the reality is they're going to need to win some games against other New Zealand sides, and they're going to need beat the Moana Pacifica to give themselves an opportunity to get higher up the ladder. But, the reality is there's still going to be hard work. All of those games, those challenges, because when you take on Australia, it's all about positioning yourself in the playoffs.
Yeah, but we've seen the trend, haven't we? Look at where the Highlanders have come week 1 to where they've got to, week 2. So,
these... Well.
Yeah, exactly, and vice versa for every other sort of team. So these the New Zealand teams, they adapt. They adapt the way they analyse, and they come back in by week 3 or 4, actually probably a little bit later, after week 5, you'll start seeing the difference. You'll start seeing games to be a little bit closer, perhaps, teams tipping over the Crusaders. This competition is tight, and it's going to be tight and close again.
They've only got Richie Mo'unga and Ethan Blackadder to bring it back in, the Crusaders.
Cody
Taylor. They've got some guys. I think it's on
the
Highlanders.
The
Highlanders have the depth. I think they do. I think a lot of them is about building their confidence. And look, talk about that momentum, that one, allowing the opposition a quick tap. You've just seen what the Blues have allowed the Hurricanes to do. I think that experience and the players need to work on.
How did you come back to the Blues?
What's that?
Why did you come back to the
Because
Blues
they'll
in this
learn from the 10
conversation?
minutes that cost them the game. They'll learn from that. To your point,
they're good.
They're good. They are really, really good. I think everyone's going to improve. How good were the Hurricanes? You know, a lot of people didn't have them in the conversation. You know, I think right now, I like the way the teams are trying to play, particularly those last couple of weekends in Dunedin.
And the refs.
Yes.
Very good. I think they're trying to speed the game up. The players are being very good.
Is he all right?
As long as they've got your seal of approval, the Crusaders take on Moana Pacifica this week. Hopefully we see Moana Pacifica in action for their first match. The Blues have the Chiefs back here. Akira Ioane could be out for up to 8 weeks. He's got a terrible foot injury.
And when are we going to see Dalton Popoli as well? You know, they've got some, you know...
And Bowden and Barrett as well.
Some challenges through the course of this competition, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, after 2 rounds, let's take a look at the points table. Now, this is important. Take note of who these top 2 teams are, because this is your trivia question for you to play at home as well, and for these 3 to take on each other for bragging rights. The 2 teams that are at the top of the table right there, the Brumbies and Crusaders. When was the last time they contested a Super Rugby final against one another?
Right. Okay. Is that the trivia question?
That's your question for today. Have a think about that.
We're thinking hard.
Have a think.
Yeah, OK.
Have you got any ideas?
No. 2005.
There's been numerous
Chest here
times.
for Blair, but he should be comfortable under this. Oh, no, he's not, and it's jacked up, and Gerrard scores. Roth didn't get his kick away. Now Smith. Here goes Bartholomew. He's got support from Joe Roth. And that might be the one that does it. Marshall keeps going and gets flat. Well, he's not happy. Stay back. Marshall looks away to his left. Again, big Brad Thorne gets it down. And that's the 3rd try for the Crusaders. And the kick through. And this will be a try to finish. And it's scored by Dan Carter.
No mai, hoki mai, and welcome back into the breakdown. Sunday night, I'm liking the feel of the show. It's a great vibe and great trivia question as well. Did it stump you or just these 3? We will find out very soon. But if you missed that, our trivia question for this week, the 2 teams top of the table at the moment, the Brumbies and Crusaders. When was the last time they contested a Super Rugby final? Any answers from you, gentlemen?
I was trying to go through the titles they've got on the at Orange Theory Stadium on the light poles, you know, and there's plenty of them. I'm going to take a stab, and I've got 2006. I'm not sure that's the year that they won.
5.
You've gone 5.
I've gone 4. 2004.
OK. Well, one of you are right, I believe.
Well, we can't all be
no,
right, can we?
I don't actually think one of you are right. Let's take a look. 2004.
2004.
Millsy.
Oh, you were right, Mills. Sorry, I didn't give you that.
If I'd said 4, would you have said 4? No, you would have changed it. So you just wanted to be different.
Look at who's in this team, though.
Look at that. Carter
Incredible.
at 12.
Yeah, that's 2 international
Major.
fights. More importantly, look at the Brumbies.
Unabaka, good play. Marika.
Radiki Samo, Owen Finnegan, Smith, some sort of halfback. Imagine how angry those 2 would have been, Marshall and McGregan.
Yeah,
you know?
they were fighting all the time back then.
I didn't know the Brumbies could score 47 points. Is that the score?
They were outstanding.
That was a great team.
system, eh? The
That was a great team.
The first team to sort of do that. I mean, I remember looking at them and they'd divide the team into 8. They'd have all these. Eddie Jones was coach, was he? No.
You're telling the story.
No, it was before that.
Before that. Yeah. They were a hell of a team.
Well done to you, Mills, and well done if you got that at home as well. Remember, you can send your own trivia questions in for these guys each week. Just take a video of yourself on your mobile phone and send it through on email. Do you know our email, Jeff?
110, I think. 110.
Do you know our email, Jeff?
The breakdown at sky.co.nz.
There you go. Email it to there. Right there.
That was a straight guess.
Well, I'm not sure, but
I've been saying it for 3 years,
take that
but
down
I don't know.
Try the email, and if that's not right, I'll give you the right one next week. You said stuck in before to the Blues. Well, we're about to get stuck in big time. I'm sure you are anyway, because Joe Schmidt, he has been out there with the Blues. You would have seen him in the warm-up. What is he? Is he an assistant coach? Is he a referee? Is he a selector, a consultant? What is he?
Well, look, the interesting part about this is the fact that when the Blues were moving to Queenstown, everyone was moving. Of course, he was a consultant supposed to be there for a couple of days. Then he wouldn't be part of it if he didn't go. So he's gone down to Queenstown. He's now been part of him for the last couple of weeks, but he's definitely been active. And to me, here's a guy you can tell that is engaged. He's loving being back on the field. He's wanting and trying to make an impact. He's in the coach's box. Look, there's no doubt it's been announced he's going to have a role with the All Blacks at some point this season, whether it's after Ireland or not. But I look at this, JK, and I go, you know what? Is this someone who would rather have a whistle in his hand, be out on the field and contribute this way, or sit in the background and become a selector and be the guy who's playing a role outside of what's happening on the field? I look at that to me, and I think here's a guy who's got his teeth back into it.
Well, Joe probably doesn't know himself. You know, he's had 25 years coaching or whatever. He's been to Ireland. He's been in a pretty intense environment, and he stepped away for a little while saying, I'll try to consult. And maybe he's had a few months off and he's gone back into the team, and he wants to, you know, wants to get back involved. And I think he's good enough to put him wherever he wants. But if he wants to be on the field, let him be on the field. Does it change things? I mean, we've had Foxy, who's done an outstanding job, who's, you know, concentrated on being a selector, not done any of the coaching stuff. Can Joe SCHMIDT come in and change that role, be a selector and someone that's going to help out on the field?
So the interesting point is about the All Blacks, right, is that their assistant coaches are not yet re-signed on for this year. Ian Foster is, of course, but there's a board meeting at New Zealand Rugby on Thursday. What decisions are going to be made, Mills? Is this going to have an impact?
Well, perhaps Joe SCHMIDT's going to be at that board meeting too, isn't he? So, but it does have a massive impact. I'm very surprised they haven't sort of, appointed those guys already or started the process. Obviously, this meeting is about starting the process and sort of, putting it out there of who wants to actually apply. So it's a little bit late, and I suppose when you're sort of sitting there, have they cemented the guys that were there last year, given the review process?
Well, you got to think, we're into the third round of Super Rugby. You'd like to think our assistant coaches know exactly who they're going to be and the role they're going to play going forward. And yes, they probably focus a little bit more on the back end of Super Rugby, but the fact the All Blacks, remember, went under an intensive review, an internal review about their performance last year. I'm looking at this and going, what sort of confidence does it give you, the fact, JK, that they haven't been confirmed until it's gone to this Thursday? And is there maybe some sort of change? Are they looking for something different? Or are they just looking at their process, looking at making sure that they are covering everything off? But for me, I'm surprised it's taken this long, because I'd like my coaches to know their future.
I don't care. I honestly don't care. I think the process should take as long as it should take, and we need to make the right decisions. I think Ian Foster would have gone away, and while we had a long season in COVID, that sort of stuff, we lost. And we lost twice, and he would have looked at it and said, some things aren't working well. We publicly spoke about innovation and attack. So I hope he's gone away with the board and said, we want to have a look at this. And if there's going to be some changes and it's for the best for the team, so be it. But we do need to do something, I believe, moving forward.
So how long then before you say, let's start working?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Mills, they've got to make a decision, come out on Friday publicly.
To your point, though, Mills, if Joe SCHMIDT is going to be part of the selection panel, surely he's having the conversations about the coaching and the direction that they're heading and what this team is going to be doing. Now, of course, he's got a job to do now with the Blues, and I'm sure he's 100% focused on that. And I don't think he's going to walk away from that in the short term. He's going to wait until probably Ireland's be here. I think that's his plan anyway, was I don't want to go against my former team, who I've got such passion and love for. But I think for me, I think it's a fascinating...
I totally disagree with that. I'm sorry, Joe. Professional sport, they will love you the same. Yeah. You cannot be a professional coach the All Blacks and say, I don't want to coach against them.
Look how enthusiastic he is on that field. They'll
love him anyway in Ireland. He's done a great job for them. It doesn't matter.
All I know is I'm excited for him to be out there, on the pitch, helping.
Oh, gee, get amongst it. He wants to tackle.
Yeah.
What do you... Don't tackle.
What is he in charge of, Mills, do you know?
Look at that.
Actually, what is he in charge of? Because that's
looks
what
like
I'm really
defence to me. I mean,
it does look like defence, but, what is his speciality? Do we know?
Well, we haven't been told, but from those pictures, it looks like he wants to tackle.
Definitely not a consultant.
And he wants you to hit.
I don't want to hit.
No
way I want to tackle after I've finished.
Look, just to finish, I'm not concerned about the length of time. I think now, if you've reviewed over the summer, now is the time The board will sanction it on Thursday, and then they'll come out publicly, and that's enough time. You've got another 10 rounds before they get together. I mean, and if Joe SCHMIDT, they say, look, we've decided not to be a selector, he's going to be a coach, who cares, as long as it's the right coaching combination.
It's a great get, isn't it, either way for the Blues and for New Zealand rugby as well. We're going to move on, though, change tack completely. We're going to talk about substitutions. Do they hinder or help the professional game of rugby, Jeff?
Two sides for me on this one. One, I don't understand why all of a sudden all the subs get to play. That to me I get really frustrated with, is the fact you've got guys who are out playing and playing well, and why would you substitute them when your team's got good momentum? They're clearly not fatigued, they're not injured. Why do you change that? This is the professional era you're talking about, JK. We see it in all other sports. Sometimes the reserves just don't get to play. If you're winning and in control and you've got the leadership you need on the field, don't make the changes. The other one too is the fact that our referees are working really hard to keep the momentum up in the game. The last 20 minutes of every contest is a subfest, with the fact that all of a sudden you've got 7 or 8 stoppages for the last 20 minutes, and the momentum is well and truly gone in the game. And it drags out. You've got a game that's going along quite nicely and then disappears. There's two things for me there. I think in some ways we've got to address this. To me, I'd like to see the fact you can only substitute on a penalty or a try. That's the only times I think you should be able to make substitutions.
Agree, JK? What would you do?
Well, I think there's another thing we need to bring into the game, and that's fatigue. So if you're going to bring fatigue in, Mills, then you need to look at the subs. Eddie Jones reckons we need to get rid of substitution except for injury. That could cause all sorts of issues. But yeah, I agree with you, Jeff. We should have, you know, if you are coming on, then you come on when there's a try, or I don't know about a penalty, but you know,
well, you need to have another opportunity to get players out there. But
you're on your own penalty. If you're awarded a penalty, then you can only sub then, because it is becoming tactical, and I totally understand. And I'll go back to that point about George Bower coming on. You know, when you're in the Crusaders and you want the difference, that's why you go to your bench, because you've got a great bench, all black bench coming off to lift it, and it worked for them. When you're in the Blues, I feel for Ingy, because, you know, it's hard. It's hindsight's a good thing, but when you're sitting there, I would have thought they had that game controlled. As a spectator, I honestly thought they had that under control. It's unfortunate that his bench didn't continue that momentum. They did a couple of really nice things, but they didn't continue that on. But the fatigue factor, I definitely think your points are both valid in terms of when and how many subs you're allowed. I'm
just really interested if you weren't allowed to change the front row, would George Bower then leave and go and play where he can play? I mean, Ofa Tunganafasi is an incumbent All Black, and he hasn't started a game for the Blues probably for the last 6 that I can remember. You know, if you did that, would he have to leave to start?
You know, I just think, to me, it's all about, you talk about the products, you talk about players getting opportunity to play, but also that fatigue factor, and to me, changing the expectations of your player. And, you know, I just want to deal with the fact that I don't want to deal with the conversation when I tell a guy, I'm sorry, I didn't put you on today. No, it shouldn't be like that. Bottom line, I felt on the weekend, and I go back to the Blues, that they had the game under control. I think Finlay Christie may have been on a minute restriction. I understand that. Zahn Sullivan's playing fine. No issues with him. All of a sudden, you make a change for the... I believe there's a lot of changes for the sake of making them, and you should never take for granted in this game. 3 tries in 10 minutes. Yeah. That's well and truly possible in the modern game.
It is now. I'd back my bench, but it's a hard one. I mean, I know, and, you know, obviously Leon will be feeling it today.
All the substitutions, tough on the sideline commentator as well, Mills, at that 60-minute mark when you've got to call about 30 games. He's never down sideline, he's upstairs. He was on the weekend.
Come on.
20,000 substitutions. I have to read all these names.
Oh, brilliant. Well, we've got another edition of Jersey Tales. This week we go inside the locker room of the Camo kid, Ian Jones.
White jersey. This is a marvellous move. Wilson coming inside his man. He's going for the line, and it's going to be a great try. And Ian Jones indeed is the scorer. Take a look at the size of Cobus Visa. That's about 3 times me. So this is Olivier Roumat. Once more, another big man. 2.5 times the size of me. We could talk about this, but we won't, because that's John Eales' jersey. At the end of '99, family and I went to play rugby in England for 4 years. The first club we played for over there was Gloucester. And I also need to mention
Great to have you joining us here on The Breakdown. Well, we are just 6 days away from the inaugural Women's Super Rugby Aupiki competition starting, and joining us to talk about it, she was Chelsea Alley, but for the very first time on The Breakdown as Chelsea Semple, Chiefs Manawa #1. Oh, and I love the jersey you're in, Chelsea. How are you? How was the wedding?
Always. Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Kirsty. The wedding was unreal. Actually the best day of my life. So, yeah, it feels weird still being introduced as Mrs. Semple. I think it'll take a little while to get used to it.
And as a honeymoon this weekend.
Such a good day.
Oh, sorry, Charles. You take on James, your now husband, in your first game of Super Rugby Aupiki this weekend.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting going from him obviously coaching me for the last 2 years to now being competitors this weekend. The banter in the household's been pretty hectic, especially when we both head away for our camps and come back and try and, you know, get into each other's heads a bit about what each other's been doing. But yeah, we're both pretty secretive around our teams and not giving each other anything.
Chelsea, congratulations. I want to ask you, we got a taste of it last year, the Chiefs Blues at Eden Park in 2021. How different do you think it's going to be? This couple of weeks you are playing in Taupo and in Hamilton. How do you think the step up is going to be? Do you think everyone is going to be better prepared?
Yeah, it's been a real interesting preparation period, obviously, with COVID. We've kind of been in and out of camps and yeah, haven't probably had as good of a preparation period as we would have liked. All of our preseason games were cancelled because of having COVID in camps. So our franchises have been doing an awesome job to just make sure that we're still getting in the contact we need and the skills we need, and we're connecting in different ways as best we can. So while the prep hasn't been obviously where we had hoped, I know all the girls are absolutely fizzing. All the girls are in really good condition. They've been putting in lots of mahi over summer in preparation for this competition. So I think, yeah, we're still going to see some pretty fiery rugby being played.
Charles, you're not supposed to keep secrets from your husband, by the way, but that's all good. Hey,
are you getting counselling on the
marriage advice?
Hope you don't sleep talk. You're probably staying awake at night and writing down if you're sleep talking. But seriously, how have some of the younger girls, I know you've had a taste of professionalism, probably not from a financial point of view, but you've been a pro. How have some of these younger players come in and just dealt with the intensity of training, gym, you know, eating differently? Have you noticed some of the girls struggling a bit?
Yeah, there's always a bit of a transition period, I guess, going from amateur to then, you know, full-time professional. And even some of us older ones, you know, it has been an adjustment on the body, just backing up training sessions all day long. But the great thing about it as well is that we now have the support around us to help us with the physical transition and also with our mental preparation, our PD work off the field and stuff like that. So the young girls are resilient as, and yeah, I've been so impressed with how they've shown up so far. And I mean, it's a dream come true, isn't it, for these girls to be able to, even some of them straight out of school and be straight into a professional rugby environment surrounded by some absolute legends of the game. So yeah, I think the good thing is yeah, the support's there to help these girls, and yeah, they are doing an amazing job.
Chelsea, I know it hasn't been the ideal preparation. It almost looked like it might have been canned, but you're now heading to Taupo. I mean, how are you guys adapting for the more, I wouldn't say older, but the more experienced players that have got families? Have you guys spoken about that in terms of adapting to that life of being away?
Yeah, there's been massive conversation around that. Our Chiefs Manawa team has the most mums in our team, so we've got 7 mums, and a couple of those ladies are single mums as well. So I think, yeah, that's the difference between a men's competition going into a Super Rugby bubble as opposed to us, and there has had to be some considerations with that stuff. So New Zealand Rugby and the New Zealand Rugby Players Association have been really awesome in supporting that and making sure that family is looked after, and that those mums that need to have their kids brought into camp, that they are able to do that and there's plenty of aunties to help look after them, so that always helps.
Well, Auntie Chelsea, we can't wait to see you pull on that Chiefs Manawa jersey. Chiefs Manawa #1 as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, team. Look forward to seeing you in your Chiefs jersey on the sideline there, Kirsty.
Oh, you know I'll be in mine, and Millsy will too. As for you two, Blues obviously, and Matatu. That's what we've decided?
Hey, come on, the
Your
South.
Matatu?
Absolutely.
How good is it to have this competition up and running? After COVID and the World Cup this year, we need it, don't we?
But let's just hope we can get through these 2 weeks, AJK, in terms of getting it started, getting it going.
Yeah, I mean, everyone holds their breath, right? We're holding our breath for Moana Pacifica. We're holding our breath for the games that are going to be in Taupo. So let's just hope that we can get through it.
Yeah.
Please, hey, Kirsty, please.
Please, we all want it so badly.
I'm holding my breath to get in the building here.
The rat tests on arrival, they are real.
Yeah, that stuff stings, eh? We're awesome.
Thank you, gentlemen. Great work today. This is our new time slot, Sunday at 7:30 p.m. So we'll catch you next week. But before we go, we did just want to send all of our love, our thoughts and our prayers once again out to the Tuigamala and the Vidiri families as well. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Lovely move, bringing Sam Gilbert in from the